Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is episode 5 of Gamers Initiative podcast with myself and Red Dead Panda. Hello, Red Dead Panda. How you been up? What you been up to? How are you keeping?
I am good. Thank you for the introduction, Elite, and just say hi to everyone. I hope everyone is having a good week and having an enjoyable weekend. What have I been up to? I just finished playing Donut County.
Oh,
Um, a, it's a game on Game Pass, so it's a little indie game, easy 1,000 gamer score. Really enjoyed it. And then I've started playing Immortals Phoenix Rising, whatever that game is called, to give that a go. I haven't really played many hours of that game, so I haven't really decided how I feel about it yet. It just feels like very similar mechanics to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I guess that's a lot easier going from that mechanics to this mechanics. The world's really cool. But I just want to delve in and play some more of that before I kind of make a proper judgment about how I feel about that game. But it's my first week back at work. Well, I just had my first week back at work, so I'm quite tired. And other than that, I haven't really been up to much. Played a couple of games. Watched the most recent episode of WandaVision,
no,
which
I've
was
not
really,
seen it
really
yet.
good.
So shush, I'm gonna watch it
You
tomorrow.
haven't seen it
No, I've not. No,
yet?
I've forgot about it to be honest.
Spoilers. I'm gonna
Mm,
send you the spoilers in the chat
no,
just to mess with you, Elite.
no.
No, I would never. Do not. I would never do that to you. What have you been up to?
Right, so I've just started playing Wasteland 3. It's like a turn-based game, kind of like Gears Tactics.
Enjoying
So
it?
yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, you can make your own character and stuff. I like that. You can sort of design your own character you're going to
It's
play
got a
with.
lot of RPG mechanics in it,
Yeah,
eh?
it has. Yeah, so it's like a turn-based game, kind of like Gears Tactics, but yeah, with very RPG orientated, with story and you have choices. You know, when you get sort of options to do things, and if you've got certain skills, it opens up new menus and stuff like that with it's got that in it. So I like that. It's quite good. So I'm enjoying it. The graphics ain't fantastic, but it is very enjoyable.
In
Um,
Exile?
and sorry,
Is that in Exile, the studio? That's
yeah,
doing
yeah, I
Wasteland
believe it
3?
is. Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah, yeah. It was a multiplayer, wasn't it? It wasn't exclusive,
Uh,
but I don't know whether because I think they started making it before the purchase of In Exile. So, uh,
yes.
so
I wonder what they're doing next because they're meant to be working on something.
I've heard they work on an RPG as well. Are they the ones, or was it Obsidian
Mm.
that are working on 6 games? I think it was Obsidian that said they're working on six
Uh,
games.
Something. I think it's more likely Obsidian there. Seem
Yeah,
like a bigger
yeah, because they're
studio.
massive now. Yeah. So,
But what else have you been up to?
yeah. So now I've not. I've going to catch up on thingy. Um, I've been working a lot and just. I was going to start. I need to get back into State of Decay 2 because I completed the first. I started when you play the game. You complete a map. I did that, and then you're at the end of it. I don't know if you're aware when you complete it, you get the option to go into another map and do because there's various maps, aren't there? So I started doing another map and then I stopped playing it. So I want to start get back into that and complete that map and then work my way through all the maps on it. So I need to
Yeah,
start that and
yeah.
then
I actually
yeah,
need to play that game.
and I just reinstalled Apex Legends, so I might start playing that again because I do like that.
Oh yeah.
I tried to play Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty the other day, yeah, yeah, just to confirm, I do hate the game. Yeah, I played it for about 10 minutes and went, "Yep, I remember now why I hate it." So and I stopped playing it. I was
Are
literally
you playing
spawning and
PvP
dying.
or
Y-
PvE?
Oh no, PvP. I've never played the campaigns in those games. Yeah, I play PvP, and literally you just spawn in, you get shot in the back, spawn in, die, spawn in, die. You don't get a chance to. A lot of times I don't get a chance to move. I'm not killed before I even sort of spawn in. I don't know why I don't give a sort of a time limit where you're sort of invincible. Just allow you to move. Oh, it's boring. It's very boring. So it's not really skill based. It's very much the map's so small. It's just running around, just continuously gunning. It's just boring. It's lost its way, I think, compared to what it used to be like. Because I used to play the game competitively, and it's horrible now. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I need to catch up on WandaVision. Um, yes. So shall we jump into? Oh, where can we find you anyway? Might as well get into the where we find you.
So anyone listening, including Elite, you can find me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Red Dead Panda One, and that is the number one. And you can also find me on Xbox Live at Red Dead Panda 871, and also here on YouTube at Red Dead Panda Gaming. Um, been very slack with that, and hopefully everything's settling down now with work and everything that I can actually get over put my
Oh,
head down and
yeah.
do some work.
Thought,
Um, yeah,
thought I lost you then. Yeah, and I mean, you can find me here, right, on my YouTube channel, what you're watching right now. But also, as a repeat again, we've got a Discord sort of channel going up. Maybe we want to sort of open up to the community and let people come in to share news and just chat and stuff like that. So we need to. I forgot it last week, but we need to put a link to that into the.
I chucked it into one of the comments
Oh,
in
did you?
last week's
Oh, I have
video,
to have a
but
look.
I can chuck another link into this week's video
Yeah,
as
and
well. Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, and I'll just post it into the thingy, into somewhere
Yep.
and pin it. Yeah, so it's always there, and people can start joining us and chatting. Right, so let's get on to our first topic, shall we? So our first topic is Xbox lists 5 billion in revenue and 18 million Game Pass subscribers in quarter two earnings. Right, so first I'm going to say a pardon now for my cat because he's looking at me as if he's going to just kick off and start being loud. But yeah, uh, yeah. So what do you think of this? Xbox Gaming increased its total revenue by 51% in the quarter. So this is for quarter two earnings. So it's obviously gone up in quarter two. By the way, quarter two, everyone, is not now. This is for last year. This is from October the 1st to December the 31st. That is quarter two 2020, as it says here. So in quarter two, Game Pass was recorded to have 80 million Game Pass subscribers. So it could very well, very likely, be in the 20
Higher.
million range by now. I mean, because this news is like a month or two old. Well, not this news is a
Like,
month or two old. This news is recent, but the the stats they got from are a few months old. So we could easily be in at 20 million Game Pass subscribers right now, easily. Um, and it's up
this is
51% and 5 billion in revenue. So yeah, what you've got? Sorry, what have you got to say about that then?
yeah. Up 51% in gaming revenue all up. I think it's a positive trend, and I think that's something that's come out of what happened within the last year in relation to the pandemic. Is a knock-on effect of that is the gaming industry is doing really well financially speaking. A lot more people have turned to that, and we're not going to be out of the woods in relation to the pandemic for a while now.
Yeah,
So the fact that people are putting money into things that they can afford, and something that kind of takes them off or takes them away from what's happening worldwide is really important. So it's a positive thing to look at it. 51% uptake in gaming. Um, then looking at the hardware sales in relation to the revenue coming from that is up 86% year over year, and you would expect that considering it was drawing down at the end of the generation because people were waiting for these new consoles. Now it is sad to see that because of the global pandemic that we are looking at global shortages for people to get their hands on consoles for like the Xbox up until like April. And even the PlayStation is fan base is in the same boat in that regard. Um, but I think this is great, and I think that 18 million Game Pass subscribers is important. I mean, we don't know if how that would look with the people who just go month to month or get it 1 month, drop out, wait for another game to jump on, and then get it again because it's actually cheaper than buying the game brand new outside of Game Pass and just buying it through the store or buying a physical copy. Um, but I also think in relation to that, when we're looking at those 80 million people, you are right. It could be sitting at 20 million.
yeah,
And if we look at what happened last week with, was it last week? Oh my God, it's
yeah.
been a week for me, guys. With with
Xbox Live.
Xbox announcing
Yeah,
the increase in live and gold live and then reversing that, you can understand why they were looking
yeah,
at that as an option because um Game Pass is basically a much better what's the word for it? I can't think of it. And I can't think of it, but financially speaking, it's a better option for them as a company, and it's a better option for us as consumers. Yes, at the end of the day, they are a company and they're out there to make money, but they also have to find a good balance between understanding what they can offer us as their community, and then what they can't do. So, um, you understand why they wanted to kind of encourage people onto Game Pass,
Yeah,
um, but they didn't do the best. They didn't go around have the best approach to do that, and then they realized they'd made that error and then pulled it back. So for people saying that Xbox is out of sync with its community, with its base, with gamers, you can clearly tell that Xbox um, people, and even just the gaming community in general, do not actually believe that when you look at their wallets. They
yeah,
are investing in Xbox,
exactly.
and it's here to stay. I mean, and
Yeah,
because they're investing in Xbox, because they have that I guess safety and trust that Xbox is here to stay, because they've seen Xbox is investing in itself when you're looking at game acquisitions. So you're looking at the ZeniMax acquisitions, and there are possibly more acquisitions coming up, which I think we're going to discuss later on. Um, but it just shows that they're here to stay, and it's kind of instilled a lot more trust and faith in the brand for those. And we know what's coming when we look at the studios that they've required, and a lot of the people who like Xbox likes the types of games that Xbox is going to be putting out. I'm one of those people where I prefer those types of games. I'm not big into JRPGs. It's not my biggest thing. But I'm not into horror either. But you know, they've got horror for everyone, and they're bringing those JRPGs to Xbox. So they're trying to become an um, all-rounded ecosystem,
yeah.
and you can just see that we as gamers have a lot more faith in them
Well,
than we previously did,
yeah.
especially moving into the beginning of a generation compared to 2013,
Game
where
Pass,
they just floundered.
yeah, Game Pass and their first party is clearly covering every genre that they're trying to
Yep.
throw out. They're covering simulators, racers, RPGs, turn-based games. They're covering MMOs. They're covering pretty much every single genre, which I think is fantastic for their first party. This is what puts me off Sony and buying their console, because they don't really focus. They only focus on one genre at the moment, and that's unfortunately the genre I don't like. But the thing,
Cinematic 30 FPS,
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
person, I don't know what
yeah.
it is,
It all looks
story
the same.
driven games,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call them.
story-driven cinematic titles, and they don't interest me at all. I really don't want to. I really don't want to sit there with my controller on the side while I watch 4 or 5 hours of cutscenes. I want to be playing my games and being
Yeah.
gross that way. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, my wife's calling on, what are you up to? I'm playing this game. And she's like, I'm just got nothing in my hand apart from like, that sounded weird. But what I was going to also mention, because it annoyed me a bit, you've had a few YouTubers come out and say like it was really even Xbox YouTubers, I won't name names, but saying it was they're really out of touch, especially Xbox raising the price, especially during a pandemic. Firstly, during the same pandemic, we've seen gaming revenue shoot up. People are playing games and buying games more than ever. So the pandemic isn't affecting it whatsoever, and this is more evidence of that. Secondly, nobody complained about Sony or developers that have raised game prices from £60 to £70 during the pandemic. Nobody also complained about Xbox and Sony and PlayStation releasing next gen consoles during a pandemic. Nobody's complained about
Yeah.
those. So to complain about a service, which you don't have to subscribe to, you can subscribe to Game Pass. You don't have to subscribe to. It's an option going up, and using the pandemic as an excuse is completely just nonsense. It's completely ignorant, I think. But the thing I've spotted here as I'm reading through this article.
I'm kind of opposite to you there, Elite. I
Oh, gone.
still think it probably wasn't the best timing to announce it. I understand why they announced it, because if you look at um, Gold versus Game Pass, financially speaking, Game Pass is a better bet, and
It
you
is.
should be on Game Pass if you can be. So why not just save your put that $10 into Game Pass instead and get off Gold? So I
Yeah.
understand why they did it. I still feel like there are some people where they are financially struggling, um, but those are the people who are already on it.
Yeah.
Like what they were grandfathered in, and I don't think that was made very clear. They were grandfathered in to that older price. If they let their subscription lapse, then they would then get the new price. But this was more targeting new gamers.
Now,
And I don't. If I look at it, I think it wasn't really from an Xbox kind of gamers at the center mentality. I think it was someone looking at the stats, looking at the
yeah,
costs of things, and going, "Hey, we could definitely improve and get more people onto Game Pass by doing such and such, etc., etc." So, and you could see the way that it was handled.
yeah.
It just
Yeah,
didn't feel
I
like the
agree. It wasn't
Xbox of
handled
known over
properly.
the
It
last
wasn't handled
year.
very well. I probably would have been more brutal and just done away with Xbox Live altogether. Though people then would have complained
Fair
that,
enough.
oh no,
Rip
I've
the
got I'm
band-aid off.
subscribed, yeah, blah blah blah, I'm subscribed to it, all about my subscription. Then you would have had that backlash, wouldn't you? So
Yeah.
so they probably thought they would go the other way from what I would have done, and thought, oh, what we do is we'll raise the price of it to put people off buying it, and then go into Game Pass instead, which is, it's.
Why didn't
I think there was no
Sorry.
right way of doing it. I think I think it's going to be a case of where they're just going to have to hope people slowly just pick up Game Pass. I think that's the only way they got.
Yeah.
They wanted people to move over to Game Pass quicker, sooner rather than later. But I think it's going to be a case of where it's just going to have to wait and see. And I think as
There's another way they could have done it.
go on.
They could have definitely just said, "Hey, except for family plans, because there's not an equivalent of family plans, are saying, hey, the price is going up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you're all being automatically switched over to Game
Oh
Pass."
yes, yes. So obviously that, yeah, they could have automatically gave everyone Game
They
Pass,
could have
Xbox
done
Live.
that, because then that would
Yeah.
have been like, that's a justifiable price increase.
Yeah, they could have done that.
And
Yeah.
just switched everyone over.
Yeah.
I know that they just maybe their terms, the way their oh my god, terms and conditions and the
Yeah.
user statement and all of that works, they probably might not have been able to. But it is another way to look at it, is
Yeah.
that would have been one way to transition people off gold, except for those family plans, because
Yeah.
they don't have an equivalent on Game Pass yet, which I think they are working on.
Or
But
there is
an
another way.
option.
I've just thought another option. Like we should work for Microsoft. What they could have done is we should have been in that meeting, shouldn't we? What they could have done is
Yeah.
cancel Xbox Live, honoured people that have already owned Xbox Live, so they can carry on, but not allow people to buy it anymore. So basically, when your subscription runs out, it runs out, and then you buy Game Pass.
That is also true. They could have done that and said, "Hey, it is for anyone who's still on it. Yep,
Yeah.
you still have access to it. But for anyone new, gold is now just like gone. And if you would like to do online or anything, Game Pass. I mean, we talk about options, and options are good, and then there'll be always someone in the crowd going, "You're taking away my options." But like, you technically kind of have more when you think about it. You have more options on how you want to engage and utilize that ecosystem with games and online play and other things like that.
Xbox is all about options. It offers so many options. But I've got an interesting stat here, which you might actually be interested in, which sort of you can understand where it's going from there. Right, so hardware was also up 86%, thanks to the Xbox Series X released in November. So now we know they're selling quite well. But the interesting stat here, where is it? Right, so this lines up with an earlier report that 70% of Xbox Series X and S console owners were attached to Game Pass accounts. So 70% of owners of Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S are on Game Pass already. So they're only probably trying to get that 70%. Sorry, that 30% who are still on Xbox Live. So that's who they were targeting, just that 30%. And they probably thought it wouldn't make that big a wave if they raised the profit of it, because it's only 30%. So, but obviously it did.
Yeah, very true. Well, it would have been like, "Hey, do I want gold or do I want Game Pass?" If you're on those newer consoles, I'll go for Game Pass instead.
Exactly.
Because the great thing about switching over to Game Pass is it's like, what, $1, and it like transfers it across, or if you do start paying for it, immediately converts however much gold you have. So if you're stored up 3 years of gold, like it's a total of 3 years, I think you can get. It'll convert 3 years of gold to Game Pass Ultimate at no additional cost.
I said, well, I think we said exactly that last week when we was talking about it. That what was I going to say? Completely forgot what I was going to say. Brilliant. I know what happens. I know what happens.
Because you're a fraud, Elite.
Yeah.
He basically
Oh,
reads
no.
off a script. I'm all just doing this, winging it, and he reads off a script. No.
It's because I was thinking of DC and it just ruined my concentration. No, no. What was I going to say? Bums.
Say that I was
Oh, prop.
playing Batman Telltale games because I love them, but I was rewatching some playthroughs because I just want season 3, guys. The
I tried to
Batman
play the Batman
Telltale game
Telltale, and it
season
just kept
3.
crashing for me, so I give up on it. It wouldn't let me go past. You know the bit on the docks where you take out Mr. Freeze, is it? Or when you're on the docks, you take out. I can't remember if you take. Oh no, was it? No, you
It's
take out
Riddler.
Riddler. Yeah, you take out Riddler on the docks, and then it looks over and there's explosions that happen in the city, and then you're like, yes, I'll go there and take care of it. And then it goes beep and then crashes. I'm like, oh, okay. And then every time, and I kept loading up, trying, and it kept crashing at the exact same spot. So I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and it still kept crashing at the same
Still
spot.
happen.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, screw this
It's
game.
not meant to be.
No, exactly. And I was really enjoying it, getting into it. I was thinking, easy game, easy game score. That's what everyone really plays
It
those
is an
games
easy
for.
game
That's
score.
why.
It's also really, really good.
Yeah.
Have you remembered what you were wanting to talk about in the
No,
space of us
because
talking
now I'm
about
just
that?
thinking of
No?
Batman. um,
See, he
yeah, I
secretly
think
likes DC guys.
we did say last week about um. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, we said last week that majority of people buying Xboxes, we predicted this, are most likely buying Game Pass. Because I remember us saying, who would buy a new console and then buy Xbox Live? You're gonna buy a Game Pass because very likely it's gonna be everywhere. The advertising when you go out and buy a new console, the advertising for Game Pass is going to be slapped all over the console. If you buy it from a store, no doubt they were going to say to you, "Do you want to buy Game Pass for that?" Most likely, aren't they? Especially as they're in they've got a deal now with it's GameSpot, isn't it? Game Shop, it's GameStop. Who's
GameSpot, GameStop, sorry,
GameStop?
and
Yeah,
it's EB Yeah, yeah.
and they've got a deal now, haven't they? Xbox with them now. They're
hmm
sort of in sort of partnership. So I imagine everyone that bought an Xbox Series X, GameStop were like, "Would you like Game Pass with that, or would you like fries with that kind of thing?" And I reckon they went, "Yep."
Probably.
And then probably went, "What is that?" Well, it's like Xbox Live, but better. You get this, 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 and people will, "Yep, I have that," and that would probably
Well, you
make
wanna
up for the 70% people,
you
70%.
wanna think of the numbers 18 million right now, and that's without Halo. So let's look at this. This is without Halo. The console sales for the
Yeah,
Series X and the Series S are without Halo.
yeah,
There will be people now that there's that free to play wall taken down,
yeah,
that um, they will probably let their subscription lapse, and then when Halo comes out, and then when
yeah.
other first party
The
games
big
come out
games
that are
start hitting this year.
day and
Yeah,
date on
yeah,
Game Pass,
yeah,
you are going to see Game Pass uptake in the amount of subscribers. I
yeah,
reckon that's going to be a huge thing, especially when you start seeing, like you said, 70% of people who have those next gen consoles have Game Pass.
yeah.
When you get people who are upgrading from last gen to this gen, whether that's on the
And there's still
PlayStation, whether you're
Xbox
playing
Live.
on PC, whether
Yeah,
you're on Switch, whether you're on the older Xboxes, doesn't matter where you're on. If you're getting a Xbox, um, there will be an uptake in that subscription fee once we get past April and the shortages start to lessen and a lot more people are getting these consoles into their hands, because the shortages isn't just coming from Xbox itself, it's coming from sourcing their components, like the chipsets and stuff from AMD.
yeah,
So it's going to be interesting. I think we have got a lot more to see towards the end of the year as to how much Game Pass grows,
yeah,
including where Game Pass goes around with the cloud interface, because that's already attached into there, and they'll be announcing this year uh, when cloud services go live in other countries. Like I think Australia and New Zealand is meant to be the beginning of the year, like the first half of the year, and there are other countries that are going to get access to it. So there's a lot to unpack there.
yeah. And I'd just like to cover the final points from to take from this meeting that happened. Right. So additionally, the
Mm.
conference call listed. So it made 5 billion during that quarter in revenue for the
Yep.
For Xbox gaming. 2 billion of that 5 billion was from third party content. So they made 2 billion just from
15
third party
billion.
2 billion from third party content, which is quite a lot.
I thought it was 15 billion, because people were saying, and I was listening to people
Uh,
or on Twitter and stuff saying that basically they made money in the relation to two ZeniMax acquisitions, the equivalent of two
yeah, I'm not sure where
ZeniMax
people get that because
acquisitions.
nothing to that. Do they mean for the year or do they mean just that quarter?
It might have been the year.
Maybe they're thinking the year.
Might have been in the year.
Yeah, because 5 billion. Yeah, I've not seen anything 15 billion. I've seen 1.5 billion. Unless they confuse that for 15 billion. So I can see that.
Oh, okay. So it says Microsoft earns 15.5 billion in 3 months.
All right.
In
Oh,
three
that's
months, Xbox
Microsoft
signs
though, isn't it?
record
Not
quarter.
Xbox.
This record, driven in particular by the renewed success of its Xbox brand.
All right, yes, but that's Microsoft that earns 15 billion, not where this is about Xbox, solely Xbox. That is probably about Microsoft and
Well,
everything. Yeah,
compared to the increase of 33% compared to that at the same period 12 months before. So announces that it has reached a turnover of $43.1 billion for a net profit of 15.5 billion,
yeah,
an increase of that. To put this figure into perspective, that would be just in 3 months if they'd paid for ZeniMax twice.
yeah,
And it's in large part due to the increase of um, the success of the Xbox
yeah,
brand and the Xbox branch of Microsoft,
yeah,
because it is starting to feel a bit more like not last gen, the previous generation, where people have a lot of faith in Xbox again.
yeah, exactly. And I was going to go on to say so, and also in addition, there are 100 million active monthly users for Xbox Live across PC, mobile, and console. So the 100 million monthly active users.
Yep.
So
And to put that in perspective, there will be a lot more people when you think about it, 18 million um, Game Pass subscribers are included
yeah,
in that
yeah,
there, but a lot of Game Pass subscribers also game share.
yeah, yeah,
So I game share with my sister. She's not paying for a
yeah. Me and my son
subscription,
game share.
but
Yeah,
she's yeah,
yeah,
and she uses gold, so she's one of those people. So you don't actually 100% know how many people are utilizing Game Pass. That's just actual paying subscribers.
yeah.
You get a bit more insight into it when you're looking at live monthly users
Mm,
for Xbox,
yeah.
because a lot of those people will be sharing live with each other.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that the console sales are not that relevant when you've got 100 million active users a month. That's 100 million active people actively either buying games, playing games, and buying content on games a month.
What are you
So,
talking about? Isn't that how successes is recorded
yeah,
through
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
through
but from
hardware
console sales.
sales?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Nothing. Yeah, not through software or subscriptions or anything. It's through hardware sales.
Well, to put that into context, there, guys, if we look at it, we haven't really seen sales figures from either of these companies about how they're selling
No.
in relation to hardware sales. And you're going to start noticing them that more and more throughout this generation, because both Microsoft said last generation and then PlayStation later on said last generation
Mm,
that they're not going to be using hardware sales as a metric to
no.
measure success
It's outdated.
in the specific industry. It's
Yeah.
outdated. It's going
Yeah.
to be about users,
Yeah.
active users, because they're the ones putting money into the ecosystem. They're the ones returning day and day and day
Mm,
to utilize the services there, and they're the ones that are gonna come back and spend money. So you could buy a PlayStation, you could buy an Xbox, and you may never use it. So they lose money on these consoles.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you've got the hardware and the sale on the hardware, you're not getting the sale on the software and the other services that continuously feed you money and revenue and keep you alive
That's why I
in
was
that regard.
exactly. That's why I said people going on at me about the PS5 sales. It's like they're winning because they've sold X amount of PS5s, and I was telling them it's actually ruining Sony because they're scalpers buying them, and that means those consoles are being sold to scalpers, but before they can sell them then to onwards to players, they're sitting on shelves. So all these consoles,
Yep.
which Sony are selling at a loss, are now sitting on shelves, not selling software, which is how Microsoft Sony make their money back. This is why Spider-Man only has sold less than 1 million copies. The recent game, Spider-Man sold less than 1 million copies because the potential buyers are not there because the consoles are sitting on shelves, scalper shelves. That's why it's completely screwing Sony over. And to support scalping is ruining your is ruining your brand basically, and to support that and to boast about sales is also just very ignorant and stupid of you, really. And it's good to also say, and it says, and the Xbox Series X and S were the most successful launch for an Xbox console. most successful Xbox console launches sold. So
And we don't know what they mean by successful. That could be a multitude of things. That could be
yeah,
hardware sales. That could
revenue.
be just
Yeah,
revenue. That could be units sold in relation to games.
yeah.
That could be subscription services. We have no idea what they're
No.
talking about success, but from my understanding of how Xbox it seems to, okay, uh, how would you say it? How they display themselves to the public, it
Yeah,
would be a multitude of those things, not necessarily console sales, but it'll be a whole heap of different things
yeah.
inclusive of
It'd be
within
a
all of that.
roundup of
Yeah.
roundup of lots of different metrics, and then
Yeah.
they'll have a spreadsheet, and it will all come down. The stats will be in for the consoles, and at the bottom it'll probably have Xbox Series X as the best. If you take into lots of just accounts of different metrics, Xbox Series X will be the best out of that. That's how
All right, I
and
think
that's
it's
how
time to
business
move
works.
along, Elite. We've kind of
Move on to the next
beaten
subject.
this topic. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on.
So our next topic is about acquisitions for the PlayStation and Xbox. So PlayStation and Xbox are both reportedly looking into new studio acquisitions, and this is as said by Brad Sams. I don't know if you know about him. He's a sort of an informant. I think he's on the Microsoft side, but yeah, he's been talking recently about both companies looking into
Yeah.
acquisitions, um,
Yeah.
and
I
both
think I
looking
spoke
to
about them
buying,
last week.
yeah, looking to buying two AAA studios this year. So obviously Xbox have just bought last year. Just bought. Was it last year or was it beginning of this year?
Yeah, ZeniMax last year,
Was it last
Bethesda.
year? Yeah. So they just bought
Yeah.
ZeniMax, yeah, last year, and now they're looking into buying
Mm.
another major AAA studio. But Sony have also said that they're looking to do the same. Though we've not really seen anything about it or anything else. They've just said, "Yep, we are as well." So I don't know if that's just sort of to, I don't know, just to sort of counterbalance Microsoft, who are actually buying buying things, and sort of, I don't know, to scare them. I don't
What
know,
did
but
Brad say? Like, what
um,
was? I haven't seen this, so you'll have to catch me up to date with this. So, what's actually been said,
so
other than they're both looking?
Sam just recently released a new video on his YouTube channel. Oops, I've just sort of promoted Brad Sam's here, where he talked about some happenings that he has
Fine.
heard of lately, which primarily centers around studio acquisitions. Sam's noted that even though it has already purchased a number of studios over the past few years, Microsoft is still looking to add more developers to its Xbox Game Studio stable. And of course, why wouldn't they? With Game Pass basically at 20 million game subscriptions now, and they obviously want to go down the channel that Disney are going down, don't they? So that'd be stupid not to just keep going. They're going to be like Netflix, aren't they?
Yeah.
As everyone took the
Yeah.
mickey out of it, Netflix of gaming, which is I don't think they realise that that's actually a good thing. I don't know why everyone sort of downplays Netflix. Meanwhile, Sony is said to also be looking at to do the same. Though Sam's noted that the house of PlayStation hasn't been inactive on this front compared to its competitors. And I've
Yeah.
not, yeah, basically on his channel, but we won't go too much into his channel. Um, so I think it's in report because Google and Amazon are also
Are both
looking
on
to
the
purge,
lookout.
yeah, which are typically thought of gaming companies, are both said to
And
be pursuing
Tencent.
studios and all. So, and as Microsoft and Phil said a while back, Sony's not his main competition; it's Google and Amazon, and that's basically because they can throw far more money at studios, just like Microsoft. So Microsoft are being smart here and buying these studios up before Google and Amazon to get them. Unfortunately, I've done a video about this about a year or so ago, that this is where Sony will now start paddling water. This is where they're going to be out of their depth because now it's going to become a money game between Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. They're going to be throwing billions and billions and billions at company developing teams to take them all aside, making all their games exclusive to draw people to their sort of subscription service and stuff. And Sony are going to be like, oh, what can we've got? How
Left
much?
in the dust.
Yeah, you'd be like, how much? We're spending billions. How much you got? Ooh, 10 million. What can we
Well,
get for 10 million? Yeah,
like I said last week, if Xbox slash Microsoft continues to throw their hat in the ring around acquisitions, I think that's the most positive thing. Obviously, people are going to talk about Xbox having a monopoly or Microsoft having a monopoly within the industry.
yeah,
Um, I I still think when you look at it, it is the lesser of two evil.
yeah,
You're never going to see an option where both Microsoft and Sony decide to go in and like divvy up an acquisition or anything like that, and kind of make sure that their side of things are okay. But if you look at Microsoft, you're not losing the PC market, and the PC market is huge. you're not losing the console market, and the console market is huge. You're not
Yeah.
losing the mobile market, and the mobile market is huge. And you're not losing cloud, and that market is going to be coming into its own thing in the years to come,
Yeah.
especially when we're looking at streaming and those sort of things. So, um, you're not being left out. Like if Sony was to um, throw their hat in the ring and have put some money aside to actually afford a decent acquisition, or anywhere in line with what Microsoft could possibly do, you're looking at the fact that those would become exclusives, and if they ended up coming to PC, that's waiting 3 years down the line, before anything comes to PC at all. So
Yeah.
whereas if you look at if Microsoft did it, it would be going straight away to PC.
So they
So
make their
there's no
money
one
revenue
kind
back.
of being
Yeah.
left behind. And like we continuously hear and we continuously say, and I always say it with a snide comment, but this is honest to God truth, is that there are so many people online out there who are PlayStation fans who who put who put their hand up and say, I also own a PC. So if you own a PC, then you can still have access to those games. And
Yeah.
most people who are solely console gamers can just use their controller on their PC anyway if they
Yeah.
would prefer that method rather than keyboard and mouse. So you're not really being left behind anywhere. Whereas you're not being forced into making a purchase if you've already got a PC. Why not get Game Pass or
Yeah.
just play on Steam or wherever you prefer to play? But when you look at it from buying it on a Sony acquisition side, it is you have to buy that service,
Mm.
and we don't have an equivalent that's going to be financially suitable for everyone if they're already paying for games full price on other platforms, or they've got other things, and we're looking at the global pandemic type thing. Not everyone can afford to go out and buy $70 games if they want to follow suit and play those exclusives on PlayStation if they're playing anywhere else in the industry.
Yeah.
So that is me just saying. Usually, I say it with a snide comment that Sony people say they have these really expensive PCs. We know that it's not
Mm.
true. There will be a small number of you who do. A lot of people still have just a basic PC or a basic laptop or
Mm.
anything like that. You're not being left behind when you look at it from a side where a more consumer friendly company who has a further reach to more gamers out there purchasing a acquisition rather than a very closed off community purchasing it. And that's where you're looking at closed off with Amazon, closed off with Google. Google has a bit more far reach, in my opinion, than I feel like for Amazon because they have YouTube, and YouTube is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Um, but and Google also has Twitch.
Yeah.
Um, but I still feel like if we're looking at acquisitions, I would, fingers crossed, prefer it to be Xbox. I still think Sony needs to definitely acquire some more studios because when we're going to look at the long teeth in the sense of um, the years and years to come of this generation, Xbox is going to be pumping out games at a pace that PlayStation can't keep up with.
Yeah. I think also Microsoft, what they're looking to do, rather than buy single studios, I've noticed they're aiming for companies that have multiple studios.
With a
So
publishing arm, yeah.
yeah, with a big publishing arm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for more like your Segas and stuff like that, or bigger companies
And
that
and,
have
and
several publishing arms and
WB and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that have already developed teams and loads of teams, and also IPs already under their name, so they don't have to reinvent themselves, kind of thing. Also, he goes on to say about Electronic Arts. I didn't realize Electronic Arts recently bought Codemasters.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they
Yeah,
bought
so they
Codemasters.
own the Dirt and F1 games for 1.2 billion.
Mhm.
So they're doing Electric Arts are also now doing the same, trying to compete, and they're doing the same for their subscription service, which is EA
The
Access.
writing's on the wall,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think the only way, which I've done a video on it, keep referencing back to my videos, the only way I think they can sort of get out of it, Sony, which I will see in the long run, which will be worrying, is if Google or Amazon approach Sony and say and then
And
look
they
to buy,
partner.
look to either partner or just purchase Sony outright, and then all their games go on to Stadia, for example. I wouldn't be
Imagine
surprised
the
if
community if that
yeah,
happened. Like, imagine the
I would not
community if
surprise
that
the
happened.
community go mad. The communities would go mad, but Sony, it would help Sony massively if if they partnered with Stadia, so where games went onto Stadia. It would help both sides
because
massively.
they've already got a great infrastructure set up
Yeah,
for streaming. Mind you, Sony has made that partnership with Microsoft, and I say Sony specifically has made that partnership with
yeah.
Microsoft for the use of Azure service. Yeah,
PlayStation wasn't the PlayStation studio wasn't made aware
got
of it.
tangled up in there. Yeah,
Sony
yeah,
overrode them, didn't override them, didn't they? And said, nope, we're doing it. And
yeah.
PlayStation like, oh, we wasn't aware of this, and Sony like, don't care. Nothing to do with
Well,
you.
because they're a business at the end of the day, and we talk
Exactly.
about. I talk about how I have faith in Microsoft and I have faith in
Yeah,
Xbox. They are a business at the end of the day, so they do have to look at their bottom line,
and that's what
and they do
Sony.
have to
Yeah,
keep that thing in mind. So you hear a lot of other people online talking about how they're not your friend, they're not anything like that.
yeah,
But they also have to find a balance between being a business and being for the gamer or for your
exactly. And
community,
that's
because
yeah,
they need to keep you, and they need to some consumer friendly practices to do so. So I feel like a more consumer friendly company should have more people, but that's not how it works.
and that's clearly where they're going at the moment by pushing subscriptions, which we know they've said they're doing. They're making one to compete with Game Pass. Jim Ryan said that he wants to compete with Game Pass with their own subscription service. That's why they're not focused now on consoles. They're more focused now on player base and stuff like that, like Xbox is. And they're looking to
Yeah.
buy studios. And I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft starts slapping money down on more studios. Google and Amazon do the same. Sony can't keep up. And I do not be surprised if Google and Amazon go, hello, Sony, look, we can help you out here. Let's strike a deal. But
Well, if we're looking at studio acquisitions, who do you want? Who would be a studio you would love Xbox
see,
to
this is what I was about to bring up.
acquire?
Well, firstly, because the news recently just come out, is the KOTOR game, the Knights of the Old Republic, is being
Yeah,
redone again.
I
Yeah,
saw you mention that in
yeah.
Legal's chat, but no one really picked up on you talking about that. So KOTOR 2 or just a whole new KOTOR reboot?
What I've
KOTOR
gathered, they're
Recharge.
rebooting it. They're redoing it or rebooting it
I'm
all,
gonna have a chat.
and it's probably on the back of the success of the Mandalorian as well. I'd imagine. So
Don't hate
that's
me, guys. I've never played that game.
I it's on Game Pass, and I'd give it a go. I thought this game's so massive, and that and I never played it either because I was more of a PC gamer back then, and I wasn't into that style of game. And I thought let's give it a go. Then it was awful. I didn't like it at all. I played it for about an hour and thought, yes, that's me done. Turned it off. It's very
I love
dated.
Star Wars, so I'll
It's very
probably give it a
dated.
go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Star Wars, but it's very dated. It's very dated. It's like everyone kept
So it
talking
definitely
about the
needs a new one.
Shenmue games, and they all went to the Game Pass, didn't they? So I thought, I'll give them a go. Downloaded them both. Started Shenmue 1
Duh.
within 10 minutes. Deleted both games. I was like, yep, that's trash. That is a walking simulator. That's the most closest thing you get to a walking simulator that I've ever played, Shenmue. But yeah, so that's see this is what's interesting now with Disney and Xbox and Microsoft, because people were always on the thinking that Disney were partnered with Sony, especially because of Spider-Man, but they're not taking into account that the only reason Disney and Sony were partnered is because of the movie rights. I don't think Disney particularly would have chosen Sony otherwise, other than they had the Spider-Man rights. So they
You
had
look
to
at
go to
Sony's
Sony for that.
history of what they've done with the
Yeah, the
rights
movies.
to the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah,
How many times do we need a origin Spider-Man movie? How many times?
exactly.
Do you know what was refreshing about Marvel universe Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Wasn't an origin story.
it
He
just
was
assumed you
already
knew.
established.
It didn't take you all for idiots. Just assumed you knew. Everyone knows. Spider-Man's been around
His
for about
origin
40, 50
story.
years, and everyone knew about it. So by
Yeah.
now, yeah. So don't no more origin
Um,
stories. Just get on with it.
and we look what they've done with other aspects within that universe,
Yeah,
and it just Marvel was doing a much better job with those IPs,
yeah.
and more. I, I wouldn't just say better job. It was, I don't know how I would
It
put
was a
it,
better
but
job.
it was more. It was just more
Look what Sony did with
true
Venom.
to the source
Yeah,
material.
look what Sony did with Venom. It's completely patched that up an awful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And there's a Venom
Sony were
2
like,
coming
all
out,
right,
isn't there?
yeah. Sony were like, all right, we'll make our own origin story with Venom. Then, oh my god, it was awful. The effects were terrible. The origin was not the origin at all because it didn't even have Spider-Man in it. It was just awful. It was, but anyway, yeah. But
Venom
that's
has
what
an
Sony do.
origin in Spider-Man 3 that was done by Sony, and that was a bad movie too.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying, guys.
Yeah, just saying, boys, that Sony just don't know how to do stuff, make movies for a
Yeah.
start. That's why the movie industry is just
So,
declining.
so back to KOTOR. So
So yes, I
is
was
it
saying about
confirmed that
to
they're doing a
Disney.
sequel or a new one?
We're not too sure if it's a reboot or a sequel. I think everyone's looking to. I can't see why it'd be a sequel because the game's too
But it's
outdated.
definitely coming.
Yes, and so I was saying
Oh,
about
good
it.
news.
It looks like because KOTOR was originally an Xbox exclusive, so so now people are talking about on top of the Indiana Jones, obviously looking to be exclusive to Xbox because it's their own machine games that are making it. Will KOTOR be also Xbox exclusive? And Xbox did say that this year they're publishing a massive, huge AAA, um, which they've yet to announce. Could that be the game? Are they going to be publishers of that game,
Who
and will it be
knows?
exclusive? So that'd be massive if they get those. But what studios we're looking at? So I reckon I would be surprised off the back of sort of unfortunately the decline of CD Projekt Red. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft went to them and went, look, we can help you out here. Um, and
Mm.
then bought CD Projekt Red basically because apparently they're being sued. They've lost loads of shareholder value. They've lost loads of stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised in their weakened state, Microsoft buy them up. I just wouldn't be surprised at that. So there's them.
True.
Some people talking about Ubisoft. They might buy Ubisoft. I'm not too sure about that because Ubisoft are sort of hitting it
I
big
don't think they
recently.
would.
No, they're doing really well for themselves at the moment. They took a massive decline with a few like Watch Dogs and then Far Cry, and then some of the Assassin's Creeds were poo. But just recently, the Assassin's Creeds have really been doing well, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, actually, no, we'll hold on, we're doing fine. There's also a lot of talk
What
about
I think,
Sega as
I was
well.
going to say, yeah, I was just going to say Ubisoft needs a new IP.
Yeah,
But continue.
yeah, because Far Cry is just getting worse and worse.
And
Assassin's
Assassin's Creed
Creed
is
just
just
yeah, it's getting dry.
milked.
Yeah, milked and dried. Releasing it every year for a start. People. I was talking to people today, and they're saying that will be a good purchase because they release a AAA game every year. And I said that's not a good thing that they just keep releasing Assassin's Creed every year, which is pretty much almost copy paste in it. They need to bring
Mm.
out something new or just give something, bring out a title that's had a bit more time spent on it. Um, yeah, Sega could be interesting because Sega, I think, are enemies basically with Sony anyway. They've got a competition in Japan, and obviously with the history of Sony and Sega, with Sony pretty much destroying off Sega consoles and killing them off. I know Sega have no love for Sony, and Xbox want to break into the Japanese market, so Sega would be an easy shortcut into that market, and I think that would be an excellent, especially with Game Pass. Playing Sega games on your Game Pass on your mobile phone would be massive in Japan. I think so. Sega would be a good choice. What do you think?
Well, for me, um, my biggest one that I would like for Xbox to acquire, and it's not a big conglomerate in the sense it's got lots of studios and under it or anything like that, is Asobo Studios. If you look at their history, very much like how oh my god, Insomniac Games has a long history of working with PlayStation. Asobo has a long history of working with Xbox as well as other studios, but they were the company that did the most recent Flight Simulator. They did A Plague's Tale. They also did the exclusive Recall. They've done a few Kinect games in the past, so PC, some Nintendo games. They did do the odd PlayStation game when they were a lot younger, but for the majority, they've done a lot of partnering and doing games and making games in partnership with Xbox, and I think they have a lot of potential considering that they have a wide variety of different IPs that they can work across, and so that means that their team has a wide variety of skills that they can apply to any game. Like I would love another Plague's Tale. That was awesome. Just to think that that was done by Asobo, maybe one of the smaller teams within that, but it was really cool. Recall was just a new IP, so they've got a history of coming out with different IPs. They've also got a history of making game what is it, movies to games as well. Like they did a Wally game in the past. They've done a Ratatouille game. They've done Toy Story. Um, but I think for what they've been showing in the last 7 years, is that they are a worthy studio and deserve a lot more recognition and a lot more money behind them to do whatever they would like to do.
Yeah.
That's my one. That's one company like that I would really love us to get. I also wanted Remedy, but I feel like with the way Quantum Break went, that really lost itself because they did the Alan Wake games, which too scary
Yeah.
for me to play those.
I didn't
But
like Control either. I tried that, didn't like it either. I thought it was actually
I
worse
haven't
than
played
Quantum
it.
Break. So it was on. Is it still on Game Pass? It was on there. I didn't like it.
Yes.
I preferred Quantum
Yeah.
Break, to be honest. Didn't like it.
But then when they broke away from because they had quite a close working relationship with Xbox, and then they did that mainly did a lot of stuff with
Sony for
PlayStation with
yeah.
Control, yeah. But now you're looking at the fact that Remedy is also doing the story-driven game for
Crossfire X.
side of Crossfire
Yeah.
X, which is so far only announced to be coming to the Xbox side of
Yeah.
things. It's not coming to PlayStation at this point. Maybe in the future, but right now, so they've obviously started to repair the relationship with
Yeah.
Remedy. And I think that's part and part due to the change in who's leading Xbox.
Yeah. There's talk.
But
Oh, sorry. I was going to say there's also talk about Platinum Games.
thank you.
Oh, sorry. There's Platinum Games.
I said I said no thanks to them.
Oh, right,
Not
yeah.
after what
I
happened
don't.
with
Yeah, I don't
not
like
after
them.
what they did with Scalebound.
No, it's all down to them. They ruined it. There's Platinum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're massively overrated. Massively overrated. There's also who else there? I would like personally. I would like Crytek, who made Rise. I'd love to see a Rise 2 and a Rise 2
I would love a
which is
Rise 2
properly
as well.
supported by Xbox. That there, Rise 2, you got a massive title that would compete with God of War type esque sort of game graphically and gameplay wise. I think that would be a massive purchase, Crytek. And I don't think
What
Crytek
is
would be too expensive to pick up. They're still making games. They recently made Hunt Showdown, which was first on the Xbox. Don't know if you played that. That was a good game. I like that, but it wasn't that big a game. I think it was almost like an indie title. It wasn't like a full AAA. That was really good. Hunt Showdown. But they're not. I think they're doing other things. I think they might be doing some VR stuff and they're just floating about doing other stuff. I think they would be a big purchase though. I think I'd like them. How about you? What else are you thinking? Hello.
I can dream? I think EA would be cool. I can dream. I can dream about that
Purchase
because
EA.
I honestly, yeah, it would be amazing. It's
I
never
think,
going to happen.
nah, they're too much.
Honestly, really, all I want out of them is I would like BioWare with the Mass Effect,
Yeah,
and Dragon Age
yeah,
IPs.
yeah. They could buy BioWare,
I
I
think those are
guess. Does
huge.
EA own BioWare? I didn't think they did. Do they own BioWare?
Yeah, they do.
I
Yep,
do. Right. Okay, that's a
yep.
shame.
Why do you think Andromeda came out?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They should have never released it.
Respawn would be another good company for them to buy. The ones that spin off the Call of Duty things, and they've done the Titanfall games. And I
They're
think
EA as well, aren't they? Through DICE?
I don't know if they own them.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
think they
sure
just
they're
partnered
EA.
with them. Did they? Oh right. I have to look at that.
Respawn, I think might be. I'll double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just partnered, but don't actually own them. Because I remember they was trying to tell Respawn to make. They made the recent Star Wars game, didn't they? Make it how they wanted it, and then Respawn went, nope, we're not doing that. Oh, they wanted Respawn to use their their package, didn't they? What's their thing? Their thing they make games with. I
Yep,
can't
they
think of
were
it.
acquired by EA in 2017.
Oh, that's a shame. That's well.
But I mean, look at if EA ends up boosting their side of things, and now we're
Yeah.
going way off topic from the
Bungie. It
consoles.
could be Bungie.
Um, that would be cool.
I don't like
If even
Bungie.
if we look at EA boosting themselves and by acquiring anything else, and we're not really wanting them to, but it would boost Game Pass anyway because EA Play is part of Game Pass.
Yeah, it is in there anyway. Yeah.
So it's like
Bungie could be an
win-lose. No,
option, but I
it's
don't like
win-win.
them. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's hard to think. We know things like Rocksteady. Who's the ones that done GTA?
2K is that Rocksteady Games
Is that
and
Rocksteady
2K,
or
but
is that
under 2K.
is it them?
Yeah, that's Rocksteady.
And what
No,
Red Dead Redemption and stuff? I can't think now. Is it
yeah,
Rocksteady
that's
or
all.
is it?
They're all under the same company.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it won't bother me.
Rockstar.
Rockstar, that's it. Oh, I knew it. Yeah, there is Rocksteady and there's Rockstar. I always
It's
getting
not
confused.
Rocksteady. Yeah.
So Rockstar
Rock,
done GTA and Red Dead Redemption, that don't they? So
and
Rocksteady,
they're with 2K though. They're published by 2K.
yeah. So what does
From my
Rocksteady make?
remembering. Yeah.
Why have I heard of them? Let me look them up.
Aren't they the? Why am I thinking Batman? But I'm probably wrong.
Yes, I think they are Batman. I think they're the Batman studio. Rockstar. I think yes. I'm just quickly googling it on my Xbox.
Yeah, they are. Rocksteady Studios does the Batman Arkham series.
Ah, I knew it. Yeah, so they would be a good purchase. They would be a massive
Oh,
purchase.
they're under WB, so if they bought WB, but
Ah,
that
they'd
was
get them
the
anyway.
rumor last year.
Oh yes, of course,
That
WB.
WB was
Yeah.
being sold, and then everyone was focusing on that as a story, and then Xbox goes under the radar and
Yeah,
acquires.
and just comes up with a
Oh
Dragon Punch. Hooligan from underneath everyone.
my god,
We
that was the
own
biggest drop the mic
we own
moment of
Zebedaks.
last year.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when the fans are going, yeah, you won't ever get WB games. They're going to be nothing. They're going to buy a crap studio, waffle, 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 and then it was like they just come up and pull the rug away from under them and went, yeah, we own ZeniMax. It's like, oh,
Anything else we want to add to that? Because I'm happy to jump on to what else I
a
wanted to
flying
talk
topic,
to
yeah.
you
Okay,
about.
we'll end it there and we'll jump on to our final topic. You just want to get some things off your chest. Right, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to our last topic, like Elite said, I don't know if you actually heard this, but anyway, just so you guys are aware, it's just going to be a few little things that have been happening over the past week, and then something else that I've wanted to talk about, as I've just noticed not many people are talking about it. But Elite, if you weren't aware, Sea of Thieves, obviously they had their new season, or season 1 or whatever they announced, but they also released a 120 FPS mode
Yeah, I didn't
um,
realise that.
for the game.
I was going to play it the other day,
Yeah,
and,
so
my mate said we can't play it because there's some patch coming out for it. I was like, oh, we weren't aware of that. And then, yeah, you just told me what it was. 120 FPS.
yeah,
Look at that.
I think that's really really cool. But what do you want to say on that? I'll let you go, and then I'll
I've
five
not
cents.
really much to say on it other than it's the future of gaming, isn't it? That's what you buy a next gen console for stuff like 120 FPS. There's nothing bad to say about it. There's no negative to it. I'm sure some fanboys will come up with a negative to 120 FPS because they're preferring 30 FPS because their console of choice can only run 30 FPS, so that's obviously their preference. But 120 FPS next gen console, yes, give us more. Give us more 120 FPS. And it's perfect for a
Agree.
game like Sea of Thieves as well because the game's so fast paced and it's so
And
people
it's
don't
got so many
realise.
different modes.
Yeah, there's so many things going on in it. It's 120 FPS all day long. It also keeps us up with the
I think
PC gamers because the game's obviously cross-platform.
yes,
So yeah, it nullifies their advantage. Now all they've got to do is just turn off their aim bots, and then
keyboard and mouse. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I think it makes it fair for those who purely, if they choose like if you game with PC gamers and you like some of your friends are on PC and you're on
yeah,
console, I think it kind of makes it a bit better for you as well.
yeah,
And for them, you guys have a better multiplayer experience in general. It is a lot better for those who do have access to the next gen systems, who be playing against PC gamers or even playing against other console gamers. You do have an advantage. Um, but my question to you here, I mean, this is great news for those who are huge Sea of Thieves fans. I love Sea of Thieves. I was playing it when it was in like beta or alpha, whatever you want to call it, when we were testing things out. I remember playing it before they even introduced fall damage into the game.
yeah,
Then I remember them patching it in. So there was lots of different things that I was there for at the beginning of Sea of Thieves, and I've been really slack, and I really need to get back and play it because I love that game. But why do you think? What's the point of putting in 120 FPS mode if there's a side of the community that says this game is dead? I thought Sea of Thieves was dead. Like, apparently, like 10 million players on a game is dead now.
yeah,
What are
exactly.
your thoughts on that?
Well, in comparison, as I said, Spider-Man Miles Morales only sold under 100 million copies. So if 10 million's dead, then what's under under a million? That means that franchise is well
I
and
was gonna say
truly
under
dead.
100 million. He means
101 million,
under a million.
under a million. That
Yeah.
franchise is truly dead. And that was a waste of 250 million spent on Insomniac, wasn't it? um,
Because
the
Sea
game's
of Thieves.
massively successful. It's been going on, what is it? It's 2, 3 years now, and it's still going strong.
2 or 3
It's
years,
still
something
getting
like that.
free
Yeah,
updates. It's still going strong. It's still getting content. The game is
people love
still
it.
massive. Yeah, people love it, and it's a shame the biased media just downplayed it and just rubbished the whole game. And I'm actually shocked at things like Game Wars because we know they're clearly rigged anyway. That they still won't. It still don't get a nomination for achievement.
Multiplayer game of
Yeah,
the year.
yeah, multiplayer game of the year or even achievement. You know, they get that thing where gains progressive. So No Man's Sky, I think, got it last year for some reason. Um,
Mm.
but No Man's Sky seems to get nominated every year for some reason. And various other
Who
games
knows?
get nominated. Even Fortnite was nominated. But yeah, Sea of Thieves never gets nominated for, even though it offers free upgrades and DLC and everything. And the game's massively successful. And I just don't get.
Across PC, both. Yeah, I don't get it. Across PC and console. For those who were like, oh, the only reason why it's alive today is because of it being on PC as well. That side of the community saved it. It's got nothing to do with that,
It's not.
guys. And if you've got that mentality out there, you're not really, I would say, a positive part of our gaming community, whichever place you choose to play. But I think that was great news. 120 FPS mode just shows that they are still very invested in both the game and their player base, and they're listening
Yeah.
to their community. Like, they listen to their
And I guess
community
it's
a
4K as
lot.
well, is it?
Yeah. I haven't actually looked at all the details around it.
No.
All I know is it's 120 FPS mode. Um, but I will probably have a look into it a bit further when I actually go to turn it on,
Yeah.
and see what settings are available for me. Um, Now, moving on from that, I also wanted to talk about how Xbox/Microsoft has released their DirectML API.
Oh,
So
wait,
it's
yeah.
now available for developers for use on console and PC. So that's their machine learning, which does the super sampling or super resolution in that sense, where it takes, say 720p image and can convert it up to 1800p, or 1080p and convert it up to 4K, and then it actually looks better than a native 4K image. And then because it's the machine learning is actually doing that transition there, you've got all this overhead and power still not being utilized in the console, because the console is no longer putting all that power into boosting out a native resolution, so that overhead can be used somewhere else. So I think that's a huge key thing, that is now finally available. It wasn't available at launch, even though we knew the system had machine learning capabilities and machine learning accelerated hardware in there as
Yeah.
well. So that's really key, that is now an API that is available for everyone, and it's been announced. What are your thoughts on machine learning?
Um.
Not many,
No, not
if
many.
any.
not, not many. It's yeah. I mean, it's great, and it's the next gen. It's a next gen option, isn't it? It's a next gen sort of tick. So yeah, there's
It's
not
going
really
to make a
much.
huge difference
Yeah,
in the
not much.
games we're going to see
Not much
later into the
to say
generation.
about it, but yeah, not much to say about it other than yeah, it's why you buy a next gen console for machine learning and those kind of sort of software/hardware improvements. And I'm not sure why you would buy a next gen console and expect last gen capabilities.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is going to be beneficial to all the people buying next gen. This is going to be beneficial to developers, making it easier to develop for, especially when they're trying to figure out how to kind of optimize a game, and take full advantage of the system, and then not have to compromise as much.
yeah,
But we look at this. So I also just want to kind of point out that this is a DirectX um 12 Ultimate API thing. It is for use on console and PC
yeah,
in regards to people who are running DirectX. So that means that no, this would not be available on Sony's machine. Sony apparently has their own machine learning, but we haven't heard anything about that,
no.
other than what they were talking about, I think, last year in relation to it. So we're still not hearing much out of the Sony camp. But that moves me on to my
Oh, I was
next.
just gonna say it's much like yeah, when you look at an next gen console and you're gonna tick things that that put it ahead of the last gens, like my Xbox X, for example. Why would I buy an Xbox Series X? It's stuff like that, and what's it called?
HDMI
Smart
2.1 over
delivery.
2.0.
Yeah, smart delivery. Quick resume.
V-
Is it quick? Not
yep.
quick resume. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
VRS, ultra low
Those,
latency mode.
yeah, those are next gen features, and this is why you buy a next gen console. They're next gen features, and not only that, but the next gen features are not available on any other console, next gen console, including the PS5. And this is why you would. This is why I would personally just go to Xbox, continue my onto Xbox Series X and not buy PS5, because I honestly cannot see a reason to buy a PS5 at this stage, because it doesn't do anything, as far as I'm aware, that the PS4 Pro cannot do. I mean, it's doing sort of checkerboard 4K and running games at 30 FPS or a 60 FPS mode, which is what the PS4 Pro did. And it's got none of these next gen features. I mean, you can say it's got an
Other
SSD
than
in
the
it,
SSD.
SSD which runs
Yep.
1 second faster than the Xbox Series X. So I'm not. Yeah, why would I? Yeah, it's just there is nothing next gen in my mind about a PS5, and Cerny just done a lot of misleading nonsense in his speech, his PowerPoint presentation a year ago, I think, and misled a lot
Talking
of
about
gamers. Go on, yeah.
talking about Sony, and that is something I've kind of started to notice, and it was brought to my attention last week, was that um, there are a lot of features that PlayStation um,
Promised.
said, yeah.
Yep.
So they said that there is a VRS coming in a later on patch for firmware update. So VRS is meant to be coming.
Yep.
Haven't heard anything about that.
No.
Mind you, they've said like there is their version of VRS.
Yeah.
They also said in particular that there's that M.2 SSD expansion drive for you guys who are PlayStation fans. That is still not available. We are what, 3 months
Yeah.
into the next gen consoles, and we haven't heard a peep out of Sony as to when this is possibly coming. Like, why you're stuck right now? If you're a Sony gamer, you're stuck either having a plugged-in USB hard drive, and then the games don't work as well, and the transferring across
Yeah.
and all of that. It's
That's all the
really
issues.
rubbish.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with what, 660-ish gigs of um PlayStation 5 storage that you can't expand upon and get those great speeds, because they haven't come out and said when that is going to be available to use,
No.
what SSDs that you can purchase that will be compatible with their system. They haven't said that. And I think after 3 months, you think they would give an update to everybody. And that kind of frustrates me. We're getting updates from Xbox all the time about different things, like like I said, came out and said they've got machine learning available as an API, so developers will be utilizing that. If they aren't already, now that it's officially been released, because it would have been available to first party, no doubt. But where is the Sony camp? Like, why are you guys not asking about
Yeah.
when this SSD expansion's gonna become available? Um, I just don't get it. And PlayStation people are just not pulling up Sony on the fact that they're not being told anything. Like you said, when was the last time a game came out for PlayStation this year? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
first party, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what games have come out other than like indie and maybe third party like Hitman 3. There are games still to come, like there's Ratchet and Clank, if that doesn't get delayed. It could definitely do, even though they're quite far into development because of the pandemic. There's just so many things happening that we just aren't aware of, because they're not telling us about it. And I
Yeah.
think you've got all these next gen features. You bought a console for that purpose, and you don't have access to them.
Yeah.
What are you still happy with your purchase? Yes, they will say they are, but are you happy with the lack of storage available on your system? Because that was a huge thing that people were clowning Xbox Series S for. Um, because of that fact it had a not much storage, but you can expand that storage. Microsoft had an available expansion storage available for you for day one. Yes, it was proprietary. I didn't care it was proprietary. They set up and made sure that it was ready day one for you as a consumer.
Yeah.
This is not set up day one for you. We talk about games getting bigger and bigger in price. Why is this not a talking point and not an issue? I don't get it.
Exactly. Yeah. My gripe was games. they've talked big on the games, and a lot of the fan base were talking about the games. But what games have you had come out recently since launch? What games have you had coming out? What is the map for PlayStation 5? What games have we got to come? They will all say, "Oh, we've got Horizon Zero Dawn dropping this year. We've got God of War dropping this year." Do you honestly think those two games are dropping this year? We've seen no gameplay of either of them. You've seen some cutscenes and graphical showcase of Horizon Zero
In
Dawn
engine stuff.
in engine stuff, but we've seen nothing since. We've seen nothing else since. Um, God of War, we've seen nothing at all. We've not even seen an engine stuff. We've not even seen a cutscene. All we've seen is a title. We've seen actually more of Fable than we have of God of War. But none of us are saying Fable's coming out this year. We know it won't be coming out this year. So do you honestly think God of War will be out this year? We all said it
Me?
when they first showed it. Yeah, we said it. We said it, didn't we? Did you actually think? Do you think God of War will be out this year?
Nope.
No, because
Yep, we
and
did
and when
that.
it
We
comes
don't.
out,
We don't.
and when it comes out, a lot of us strongly believe it'll be also on PS4. It won't be just exclusive to PS5. But there's been nothing of it, and there's been talk, and I think stuff like that's very misleading. Where they say we've got all these games coming out in 2021, knowing that their fans are then going to go, "Oh, I'm buying a PS5 because these games are coming out." For them to say actually they're not coming out, then is very
Well,
misleading for Sony to do that.
it is.
If those
Out of
games
the
don't come
two,
out,
out of God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, sorry, Horizon Forbidden West, um, Horizon's more likely to come out. They've been working on
yeah,
it a lot longer than
yeah,
they had been on
exactly, yeah,
God of War. Um, so it might come out at the end of the year because we're still waiting to have the next state of play.
yeah,
Like, when is that? Obviously, with what's been happening around Xbox, a lot of us don't care around this. We know what games are set to come out this year. We also know the huge roadmap Microsoft has set out for us by the fact that there are 23 studios.
yeah,
That we know that Machine Games is working on Indiana Jones IP.
yeah,
Like, we know that there are all these IPs. There are some people, some on the some of the developers we don't know what they're working on, but we know that they're working on something.
yeah.
We know that Sony people are working on something, but there are so much we don't know about what's going on because it's just there's so many gaps in what PlayStation is doing at the
Yeah,
moment,
there's nothing.
whereas there are a lot less gaps in Xbox's side of things.
And certainly after when he talked in his speech last year about the PlayStation 5, was said several times he'll update us on this and that at later dates, and he's not done that at all. And it's been a year now, and he's still not told any of the gamers or anyone of anything that's happened with PlayStation 5. It's I just this is why I don't like Sony. They're just very misleading. They basically do lie. They do basically lie, and I just don't like it. Especially that Jim Ryan. They're just yeah. Tell me some what games you got coming. Show me these games, so, Sony,
Mm-hmm.
please. And yeah, what's happening with your external hard drive, which you promised, which I said in the video ages ago, which is one of the reasons why I said not to buy PS5 because it won't be releasing, and there's no set date for when it will be having an external hard drive. And loads of Sony fanboys got me going, oh no, it'll be coming, at launch. They'll have it ready for
Coming out, but
launch.
it'll be way cheaper than the proprietary Xbox version, won't it? Elite?
Yeah,
Won't it be a
yeah.
hell of a lot
Imagine
cheaper?
that. Yeah, remember that. Yeah, it all jumped on Xbox that it's going to cost £200, but at least they've got one. Even if it's £1,000, at least they've got one. Whereas Sony's not even got anything. So I'd rather have something for £200 than nothing at all. You know what I mean? At least we've got an option of one if we need it. But we've got a larger hard drive than the PS5 anyway, so we don't need it at the moment. So yeah,
It's much easier to transfer your games across between an SSD
that is it.
from on the Xbox internal to
That
an external hard
exactly.
drive
Yeah,
than it is for PlayStation. As
yeah.
to and also how you want to play your games, whether you play it off the external hard drive. Obviously, you can't play Series X games off that; they have to be running off the SSD. But you can choose to play last gen games off that, or you can choose to play them off the SSD and get a bit more speed and such. There isn't that side of the flexibility from PlayStation side of things.
No flexibility at all, which is weird.
Hmm.
So
Anything else you want to add, Elite?
Um, I think we got it all covered.
Yeah.
Are we
Do you have any
finished?
plans for the week, or is
Um,
there any games you're gonna
I'm
sit down
back
and
to
play?
no, I'm back to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna play Apex later. I think I'm gonna jump on Apex and then probably go back on Wasteland 3, have another run out of that, and I'm still playing Conan. So yeah, there's nothing. I haven't got me as Xbox Series X yet, so I can't play Medium, which I wanted to play. So I tried to download
I
it,
can.
and it told me I don't have the hardware. So I thought, damn.
I feel so unsafe
Thought I
because like
sneakily
I
download it.
can play it,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to talk myself into playing it. I say that because I don't do horror, and people are like just play it, just play it, just play it. I'm like, oh, I'm an adult, right, guys, and this is gonna shame me, but I still am afraid of the dark
Oh
as an
dear.
adult.
Don't say that. We're still live. Don't say that. Oh.
That is okay. I don't care. Like honestly, if horror movies and horror things make me scared of something I never used to be afraid of.
That's why you should have bought a
Before.
PS4 because their controller has a nightlight on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you don't get
Well, the
scared.
Xbox has their light at the front.
Yeah.
I just don't play horror games. Like I know that that's not where I want to do. I can sit there and watch them, people play it because it's not me playing it. I don't feel like it's all riding on me, and I usually have the volume really quiet because it's the music that gets to me.
Because
But
it's meant
so
to
I'm gonna
be
sit
like
down.
what's it
And...
called? It's meant to be like thing, isn't it? What's that game? That's a horror game.
like Hellblade 2 scared me in some aspects.
Oh,
Like honestly.
what's that game? Not Resident Evil, the other one. Silent Hill. It's meant to be like Silent Hill, isn't it? The game. So
I'm good. I'll pass on that.
yeah,
I feel bad that you can't play the medium and you want to play it,
I know.
whereas I'm like I don't want to play it, but I have the option to.
Yeah,
So
it's not fair.
we need to sort you getting you
I
a
need to get on
console
soon.
ASAP.
I know. I need to get on. Yeah. I'm gonna have a look at it. Yeah, I've got my birthday coming up in March, so see what Father Christmas brings me for my birthday. Right, should we
Father
let
Christmas brings you things for your birthday? That's interesting.
Yeah, we've got a thing going. I won't go into it on here. Right, should we leave it at that then? Have we bored?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done enough. Let's leave it there then. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.
If you made it this far,
Yeah.
no, Lee, if you made it this far into the video, what should they put in the chat? I don't know.
What did we talk about earlier? Oh yeah. What do you think about PS5 having no external drive? Does it bother you? Do you own a PS5 and is it not an issue at the moment? I suppose there's not many games, so is it an issue for you? Will it be an issue for you if there is no game in the near future? And yeah,
Or
what's your
Xbox should
DC
buy a
movie do you
Sobo.
hate? What DC movie do you hate the most?
That hurts my soul, there, Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts my soul. Yeah, but honestly, if you made it this far into the video, you can put Xbox should buy a Sobo
Yeah.
or put anything in there just to say that you made it this far into the video. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to hit us up in the comment section. Or just hit me up on Twitter or Xbox Live.
Yeah, please sub and share.
Thank you.
Please, guys, like,
Thank you
sub,
so
and share this
much.
out on Twitter and share it and watch. And we were both trying to hit 1,000 subs before the end.